Welcome back to NFL Talking Points. Matthew R. Scott. We're talking about the NFC East, starting with the Dallas Cowboys. This team has a playoff caliber offense, and in my opinion, they've made a ton of great additions on defense. I think that defensive line really has made some improvements. The back is still a little bit skeptical, but a lot of times if your front can do enough, that can help that back the back of the defense in the secondary. I've got them going 11-6. This team is I think playoff caliber. The offense for sure is. I think the defense has improved enough to get them to the playoffs. I have them winning the division even. You've got them going 9-8. Not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination, but you do have them missing out on the playoffs. Why is that?
Until the Cowboys can prove to me that they're a playoff team, they won't be a playoff team. 7-9-1 last season, and I know that they had they gave up Micah Parsons. There was that whole thing. People could have called it an adjustment season, but I think every season seems like an adjustment season for the Dallas Cowboys. I think the question is, can their completely rebuilt defense that you just talked about match their playoff caliber offense? And, you are of the opinion that it is yes, but I'm just of the opinion that it's no. And for that reason, until the Cowboys show me that they have the ability to win big games against, first of all, divisional rivals, and second of all, decent teams like I have here, the Texans, the 49ers, losses to them, losses to the Seahawks, the Eagles, which are a divisional rival. The Cowboys are just going to remain out of the playoffs until that point for me.
And this division plays the NFC West, one of the, if not the best division in football. They've got the Seahawks, Rams, 49ers, and you got the Cardinals. You got to win in there for that, but it's a tough schedule. And not only that, but these teams are also NFC teams that they're also trying to beat to get into the playoffs as well. It's so top heavy in this NFC. It's hard even at 9-8 to get into the playoffs. And it just doesn't feel like that's enough with how competitive and how top heavy this NFC is. Moving on to the Giants, this team picked up John Harbaugh. They have a few really fun pieces in Malik Neighbors, hopefully coming back from injury, Cam Scatterbo coming back from injury, Jackson Dart, who I think is a really fun quarterback to watch play. Hopefully he can stay healthy as well. They have some pieces. And John Harbaugh is a huge addition. The pieces don't seem like they're going to be coming back healthy enough. We're still unsure on Malik Neighbors on when exactly his timeline is to come back. I just don't see enough. They have a decent defense, but again, facing the NFC West, you're also playing the Cowboys and Eagles twice a year and the Commanders twice a year. None of those are easy wins. They just have a tough schedule. They don't seem to have enough pieces for me right now. I have them going 5-12. You have them at 8-9, almost a 500 team. What do you see in this Giants team that I don't?
I see. So everything that I've kind of been talking about with other teams in terms of this is their rebuilding year, but they'll be good in a few years. This is the first year that the Giants will be good. And I have that feeling. They now have the head coach in John Harbaugh, which I really liked Brian Daboll in terms of his offensive play calling, his interviews, who he was like personality wise, but he wasn't getting it done with that team. I mean, good coach, but not right fit. I think that John Harbaugh is a good coach and is a much better fit on almost any team. I think he had a bad year with the Ravens. That's a whole question mark about should they have fired him or not. I get that they had to make that adjustment. But that being said, I love Jackson Dart. Neighbors, if he could be back by week 1, maybe shouldn't be, because I think that that's coming off of an injury that they need to really have some intent with and making sure that he is 100%. You put somebody out too early recovering from an ACL injury and they're just going to mess something right back up. So I think that even if Neighbors is ready to go by week 1, you give him a few weeks into the season to bring him back. For that reason, I have a couple of tough losses against the Cowboys and the Titans there in the first few weeks, but then Neighbors back gives them some good wins over Cardinals, Commanders, Saints. I really like this Giants team. I think that they have a lot to prove this year, and I think that under new head coach John Harbaugh, they will.
Well said. I can't necessarily disagree with that. they have the pieces. And like you said, this is the year that they've been building towards, right? And I completely agree. John Harbaugh, I think in this situation, is definitely the coach that this Giants team needs. I could see it happening. It's just for me, the competition is just way too difficult this year. Let's go on to the Philadelphia Eagles. Talking about that competition, the Eagles are one of those teams. The Eagles are, I think, hitting above their pay grade. In I don't know if I'm using that phrase correctly. To me, this team is doing better than they should be with the pieces that they have. And maybe that's a little skeptical because they have had great drafts. They've rebuilt this defense from the ground up through the draft. They have pieces on the offense, Saquon Barkley. They still have Devontae Smith. They just picked up Dontavian Wicks from the Packers. Losing AJ Brown is huge. And I personally still do not trust Jalen Hurts. Every offensive coordinator should be so excited to go to this Eagles team based off of how they've done. And yet they cannot get a top tier offensive coordinator because offensive coordinators do not want to work with this quarterback. That is what's concerning to me. Yet I still have them going 10-7. I still have them, playing really well, but they're just missing out on the playoffs for me. They fall in the 8th seed in the NFC for me. You've got them winning the division, but with only one additional win at 11-6. What do you see in this Eagles team?
Yeah, you know what? With this Eagles team, Joseph, Philadelphia is really interesting to me because I am high on Jalen Hurts. I always have been. I feel like that a lot of people have been low on Jalen Hurts, and then they end up going to the Super Bowl / winning the Super Bowl /
Oh, it drives me nuts.
It is, and it's a frustrating thing that every year it's like, in my opinion, it's like the Chiefs. You love to hate them. You love to hate any team that is just always having a lot of success. The thing is, the front office, this GM here in Philadelphia, what moves are you making with your offense? I get that you have to shift things up, that there's a fluctuation in salaries per year and you have to re-sign, but they're making some questionable moves. That makes me want to ask you, what do you think, in your opinion, Joseph, a little bit of a NFC North Green Bay expert there, being a fan of the move to bring Dontavian Wicks into Green Bay, not into Green Bay, from Green Bay into Philadelphia? Then I have a few more thoughts after that.
I think he's a great pair with Devontae Smith. I think Devontae Smith is going to be able to take that wide receiver one role. I think he has that ability to do so. I think it's going to be similar to the Jackson Smith and Jigba upgrade. Maybe not to the level of Jackson Smith and Jigba, right? But your number one wide receiver and DK Metcalf leaves, and your number two steps up to fill that role. I think we can see that with this Philadelphia team. And coming behind him is Dontavian Wicks. Dontavian Wicks is consistently top 5 in beating man coverage, in separation in man coverage. He is a great wide receiver. But there's just, it was hard to be able to use him in this Packers offense because there were just so many other pieces that were constantly also trying to get the ball. Love had injuries. I just think there's other things that were happening with Wicks that just didn't help him in that system. I am excited to see him in Philadelphia. And one thing that Jalen Hurts needed with AJ Brown was a safety blanket. I think Dontavian Wicks has an opportunity to be that. Set him up in man coverage, give him an opportunity to be his guy, and let Jalen Hurts trust him. I think that could really be something that helps out this Eagles offense. So I love that question from you.
Awesome. And just to wrap up with the Eagles real quick, I mean, I think the big question mark this offseason has been losing AJ Brown. Everybody eyes on that. Are they going to be able to replace him? The short answer is yes. For that reason, the Eagles are still a playoff team for me, and they're still 11-6.
I love AJ Brown, but I'm with you. I can't see the drop off too far based off of the rest of the pieces in this offense.
And two words, Saquon Barkley.
Finish it off. let's go to the Commanders. Last in the division, only because of the fact that Washington starts with the letter W. I have them going 8-9, and you've got them going 10-7. So you and I are 2 games difference. You've got them making the playoffs as the 7 seed, beating out teams like the Packers, the 49ers, the Cowboys. I don't have them in the playoffs. I have them 2 games behind the Eagles and Bears. The Commanders, I love Jaden Daniels. I have from the day he was drafted. I've said from the day he was drafted that he was the best quarterback in that draft. And that, includes Caleb Williams. Maybe I'm a hater being a Packers fan, right? But the numbers show that as well. Jaden Daniels, when healthy, has been the best quarterback from that draft. I think he's a game changer. I like the coaching staff. I think this defense is improving. But like we've talked about with the rest of this NFC East, it's just a really tough year to play in the NFC East this year. You've got the Cowboys twice and the Eagles twice. The Giants are sure not going to be an easy win. And then you've got to play the NFC West, the best division in football this year as well. I just don't see them getting enough wins with that tough schedule, in addition to playing teams like the Texans and the Colts and Jaguars. I mean, it's just really, really tough schedule, so I don't have them making it. You have them making it 10-7. What do you see in this Commanders team that I don't?
Yeah, one clarification. I mean, there is no scenario in the entire league that I have as close as I do the Commanders and the Green Bay Packers. They're almost neck and neck. They both play tough schedules. I just think that the Commanders eke it out by just a few conference games, I believe, if I look at it. That being said, the big question for this Washington Commanders team is, can Jaden Daniels reproduce what he did his rookie season? I think the only thing that held him back last year was the fact that he had to deal with a couple of injuries. Washington's offense still performed relatively well under Marcus Mariota, which makes me happy as a Marcus Mariota fan, dating all the way back to his days with the Oregon Ducks. But that's for another time, another story. I really like the Washington offense still moving into this season. I think that they've made a lot of notable additions to their defense, which is where they had some issues last year, in my opinion. I think that they lose Deebo Samuel here this offseason, but the rest of the Washington offense will still be enough to eke out a few games over 500. They'll make the playoffs, but I have them there at that 7th seed for a reason. I don't think that they're going to be able to make any major noise against a 2 seed. And Jaden Daniels, hopefully healthy this season. If he can remain healthy all season, Joseph, that might be the only thing that would make them exceed my expectations.
And I have to say, if Jaden Daniels can do what he did in his rookie season, then, my 8-9 is probably a little low for this team. I see where you're coming from, 10-7. You're taking the bright side, saying Jaden Daniels will stay healthy for the season and perform at his ceiling. I can't say that that's not going to happen. So I love your outlook on that. Matthew, thank you so much for joining me on NFL Talking Points. You can check him out at Matthew R. Scott Sports Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Check him out on Instagram as well. Matthew, thank you for joining NFL Talking Points.
Pleasure as always, Joseph.